And yes, it's just me on this session. My guest, Mary Shea, has been taken off by aliens. No, something's happened. So what I thought I would do is I'll still come on and discuss some of the issues that we were going to discuss, and perhaps we can reschedule this, because I know you would love to hear from Mary, but I thought I might, since I've got you lovely people here, and please do help me out here. Let me know where you're from, who's on live, what you wanted to hear from us on this live session, the Agile Tech-Enabled Salesforce. Things happen in life, and you've just got to kind of roll with it. And Mary might still join us, but we have another session on the 1st of August, and perhaps we'll reschedule this one afterwards. So please do, don't leave me hanging here. Let me know who's on this session with me, and where you're from, and also really what you wanted to hear us discuss, what you're particularly interested in. So this will be a shorter session, that unless Mary does manage to join us. As I say, things do happen. And so you have me. So the key issues that we wanted to discuss was that the role of the CRO is forever changing and becomes so much tougher, because within this crazy challenging macro environment, with the constant political and economic shifts and the rapid advancement of generative AI, CEOs and board members are demanding so much more of the revenue generating operation. So the pressure really is on the chief revenue officer to perform. So with all these things going on, how does that happen? This forever shifting and advancement of generative AI. So this was the issue that we wanted to talk about. This is what we're hearing from the clients that we work with. You know, how do we balance all of these changing aspects of our role? And relatively speaking, in the last 5 years, it's a relatively new role. So it tends to capture so many areas of responsibility. But at the end of the day, it's about the go-to-market strategies and achieving the revenue goals with the resources that you have. But it's balancing many of those resources. So CROs that are on sales leaders, let me know if this is a challenge that you're facing. The ever demanding shifts, the advancement of generative AI. Which ones of you are really embracing this? Which ones of you have team members that are reluctant to get on board to generative AI? So some of the areas that we were looking to talk about was, you know, how do you thrive? How do you really thrive with these current economic conditions? How is this current Salesforce going to evolve and change? Now, certainly when I spoke at the GTM conference hosted by Pavilion in Tennessee, when was that? October 2023. One of the aspects that I was presenting in my presentation was that I asked CROs in the room and sales leaders if they could achieve the same revenue projections with 50% of the resources, the people resources, the human resources, if they felt within the next 3 to 5 years that was possible. So I asked them to raise their hands if they thought it was possible, and perhaps only 25% of the room said that they think that they could achieve the same results with 50% less people. So I presented the case that actually this is the future of sales. And Mary Shea very much agrees with me. This is the, you know, I presented the evidence that's showing us that's the way that we're going. And generative AI is playing a very important role in the shrinking of the resources. One of the points that I was making, if you've got a limited number of people, the goals aren't changing. In fact, they're probably growing. Then how are you going to achieve that with less people? So you've got to make sure you've got the right people in the right seats. So the other evidence that I presented, much of this is from OMG. They've been doing research for the last 30 years, and it's sales specific, it's predictive, and it's verified data. And so we're only talking about the revenue generating operation and all of the sales professionals at the various roles and levels within that. So all of the assessments that have been done, well over 2.6 million, were able to mine that information to really find out, the best, to benchmark the best and really understand what's happening over a period of time within the revenue generating roles. So, what we discovered was 70% of salespeople shouldn't be in the sales roles that they're in at the moment. Some of them shouldn't be in sales at all. Some of them should be in sales, but not actually in the right roles. Once you put the right people in the right seats, the right roles, then they tend to excel. And so that's part of the problem. We're not really applying true analysis, verified, predictive data with legacy, data. We're not providing the right data and looking at the clean data that is sales specific in order to understand really who should be in the right roles and the right seats going forward. Now, Mary is working with higher quotient, and we were going to talk about some of the aspects of AI, generative AI, and how they find the right people. And I was also going to be talking about, making sure we've got the right people in the right seats and how to use that data in order to make sure that they're in the top quartile. So if you've got the right people in the right seats, you may have less people, but if they're all performing because you've got the right people in the right seats, you have the right data in order to coach them to be, the A players they're meant to be, because we've already identified their potential, benchmarked against the best for your industry in your role, then you can actually have a lot less people sitting in the seats, because if they're all performers. Now, we've been in an environment in the past where we've had maybe about 20% that are top sales performers, and they're the ones that are achieving or overachieving targets. And then perhaps 60-80% of your other sellers are underperforming, but it's the cream of the top that carries it through. We can't afford to do that in the future. I'm still talking to sales leaders that say, well, I'll recruit 5 knowing that 1 will stick. We can't afford to do that going forward. So we've got to be a lot sharper about how we're analyzing the data, how we're using the tools, and how we're managing those resources going forward. So let me hear from you. What do you think? What would you like us to continue to discuss in the session? So we've, looked at some of the aspects in terms of, the sales environment, the macro changes, some of the presentations that I've done in the past and I was going to talk about in accessing the best talent to exceed the numbers. But also, how do we transition into, with this agile tech-enabled workforce? This is the model of the future. How do we coach them? How do we ensure that they embrace AI? Because that's the other part of the story, to enable us to manage smaller teams that are achieving higher quartile. The difference is that the AI is going to be picking up on the slack, doing those more mundane tasks, but also some of those critical data crunching tasks for us that, it's best able to perform for us. We're already using a lot of tech-enabled technology within the Salesforce. Sales tech, the sales stack has grown enormously. And actually now we've gone so far, the pendulum's coming back, and we're having to look at which ones are really kind of like, which ones are worth their weight in gold. And so we've got many tools like chatbots, virtual assistants, lead scoring and prioritization, personalization of content recommendations. All of this will continue to evolve going forward. But we've got to have the right people in the right seats that are collaborating with the AI, the tools, and embracing the tools coming forward, able to help them shift. And this is really a cultural shift. There is research by it's Harvard, no, it was Stanford Institute of Human-Centered Artificial Research. They've just published their 2024 index report covering some of the major AI trends. And they say that one of the key trends or takeaways from the research that they did is that AI makes workers more productive and leads to higher quality work. But that's only if you have the right culture in place that looks at the AI as a collaborative tool and really understands what it can do for you and where it's best suited. So there's so much for us to discuss on this live session. Now, I've been talking for about 15 minutes. And what I'm going to do is draw this to a close to give you, I've given you a little bit of a taste of the kind of things that we will be talking about in not the next session, but the session afterwards that will reschedule this session. Now, I want you to register for our next session, and I will just put this in the, I've jumped. I've missed it. I'm trying to find the link to the next session. It is sitting on my what happened? Oh, just a moment. Let me try and grab it and put that in for you. Grabbing the link. Oh, here we go. Right. Okay. So this session is called DIE, DIA, or DOE. Do you like that? I thought that was quite good fun. So it's navigating changing dynamics. Oops. See, you cannot multitask. Right. There you go. Navigating changing dynamics in corporate inclusion. Right, and then it posts twice. Anyway, there you've got it. It's on the 1st of August at 5 p.m. or 12 noon EST. Please register for our next LinkedIn Live, where we'll be talking about DEI. Is it DOA? Certainly, it's one of those terms that seems to have disappeared from many corporate reporting. Seems to have forgotten where we were in 2020, 2021. So we want to discuss that. I often, and certainly Mary talks about diversity in sales and how important it is. So this was an area that we wanted to talk about, but talk about it from a global point of view, corporate, UK and USA. So that's our next subject on the 1st, and we will reschedule this one. And sending my love to Mary. Hopefully I've given you enough of a taster for you to join the rescheduled session that we'll do perhaps later in August. All right, you take care. Thank you so much for joining me, and I shall see you soon. All right, thank you. Don't forget to connect with me.